Yeah, folks, this episode did not do it for me. Season 14, episode 5, entitled House of Tough Decisions. Now, look, I'm giving it a 2 out of 10, and you're probably like, well, dang, Jeremy, it wasn't that bad. It really was. And look, no, I am not docking points because, wait a minute, we're not doing anything with the Laura or Miranda or Calvin storyline. What is this filler crap? That's not my issue with the episode. My issue with the episode was the characterization of, well, what's the right word here? Well, characterization is the right word, but I feel like we had cardboard cutouts of characters who look like the people we're familiar with, but the way they acted made no sense. The way CJ was written in this episode made absolutely zero sense. Then when it comes to the Floyd and Curtis storyline, I guess in off-screen land, these two have miraculously made up and now they're back in business again, despite the fact last season they signed a contract where they pretty much split things up and that was the end of Sauce Bosses. So now all of a sudden they're back in business together, acting like everything is just fine. But yeah, I don't care. And it's like I said in my video going over the episode synopsis for this particular episode 5, I said this episode is probably going to bore me because it's rehashing storylines from last season. Now, honestly, the Jackson and Jasmine storyline, I felt, okay, this is probably going to carry the episode because it is the ongoing saga of this jerk. But I feel like similar to how they ignored the split between Floyd and Curtis, but now they're back in business together. What's her name? Professor Davidson. I feel like they only focused on the one episode where Jackson cheated. There was no mention of the second episode where dude wanted Jasmine to basically lie for him in like what was it, like student conduct court, in order to avoid him being removed from like his academic team, his athletic teams and things like that. And when she refused, he basically slandered her name online, had her trending, and I think almost losing an opportunity for an internship. So he did way more than just cheat. Yet in this episode, she's just supposed to pull a Martin Luther King and turn the other cheek. No, this entire episode was on BS. It really was. But before going further into the video, make sure you take a moment to hit like and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. Hit the notification bell to select all. That way you're up to date whenever I post content on the channel. Because yeah, I did see the sneak peek yesterday, and I did see the promotional photos, but to be honest, they didn't give me a lot to work with, so I didn't bother doing any pre-episode videos. I'm like, I know if I upload something, it's not going to do what I want it to. Not to mention, views aside, I didn't feel like the clips gave me anything to work with. I'm like, oh boy, this apparently sleazy slimeball business owner wants to do business with Curtis and push Floyd out. I bet Curtis is going to get a big head and yada yada. There's nothing I have to offer. Like, even though it might seem like my Laura and basically the love triangle thing where I post a lot of stuff and it might seem repetitive, at least those videos I can divvy it up. Each video can be its own thing. Hey, is Laura pregnant? Is Laura justified to feel the way she does? Is Ella going to tell the truth? What is Calvin going to do? You see what I mean? Those videos can have different layers to it. But this is just a hot mess. It really is. So let's talk about, what's his name? Q Anthony Fields. He's a millionaire, successful business owner. As soon as Floyd and Curtis came through the door talking about seminar, I'm like, I know exactly where this is going. So essentially, he wants to take Sauce Bosses to the next level because he's very impressed by the sauce, because it tastes really good. Money is his motivation, and Ella's like, wow, a lot of people wouldn't be upfront about that. I kind of like this guy because he's not beating around the bush. But let's be completely clear about this. It seems like he wants to push Floyd out of the Sauce Bosses picture and basically wrap his hands around Curtis, because the fact that he talked about owning several successful businesses and whatnot, that has me thinking like he probably is the owner of many businesses because he found like, starter companies and whatnot, like ran by one or two people, figured the best way to take over, hostile takeover style, would be to divide and conquer. Like, let's say if it's two people running a business, he'll go after the person who's money hungry like him and then push the other person aside. Then once the, contracts are signed and whatnot, he can take advantage and own the business. Things like changing the name, which comes up later in the episode, I feel like it's a great way to remove trademark. Okay, so basically QA, if you will, QA is talking up things with Curtis about making money and whatnot, while Floyd is pretty much pushed to the sidelines. And later on, Curtis and Q have like a secret business meeting over at the house, and they're talking business plans and whatnot. And he mentions how Floyd, I think, you're the man with the plan. Well, yeah, I'm not really business savvy. Floyd is the one who takes care of that stuff. And yeah, Ella overhears QA talking about, getting a new partner. And then she's concerned that Floyd isn't aware of this meeting taking place. But I do like the continuity because she actually has to leave to help Glow over at the HOA office because the whole storyline with the Bible study is still taking effect. She's still fighting for her position due to her going to the service. But she reminds them to call Floyd. Now, this actually doesn't happen because later in the episode, QA inspires Curtis to use his expertise and experience as a firefighter. I mean, look, say what you will about his demeanor, but QA is giving him solid advice because I was an advertising major and everything he's saying about the business plan, basically using your past experiences as stepping stones to your next step or next venture is actually pretty accurate. So I can definitely see him being a swindler. The kind of person, as I mentioned before, that would talk somebody up big, gas up their product. I mean, if you watch Sisters, it's kind of the same thing where Marie Willis is seemingly doing the same thing with Roots to Riches. Seeing these two, up and coming go-getters with a hair care product that she sees immense potential in, and she's going to make an investment. And I think somewhere down the line, she might, try to do a hostile takeover. I mean, let's throw it back to the movie The Five Heartbeats, where Big Red would do the same thing. Like he would represent a group or a musical act that had a manager already, but then at some point try to buy him out and succeed. It's the same thing here. I really think that QA is telling Curtis everything he wants to hear because he knows he's not the business savvy one of the group. He just wants money. As soon as you mention money, he's down. He's like, oh yeah, money, money, money. Whereas he's not looking at the bigger picture because at some point, I think QA would eventually find an angle to take over the business for himself. Now, honestly, his new pitches for Sauce Bosses are, well, good. I gotta admit. So Ella suspects something is wrong and asked if Floyd was called. It's like, oh no, baby, we called, but he said he was busy. But then Floyd comes over and turns out they lied, saying that, hey, your secretary said something. Yeah, you need to talk to her. And he's, upset because Sauce Bosses was his name and they want to change it. So later on in the episode, Floyd and Curtis talk in the backyard, and Floyd is upset over the secret meeting. Now, they're pretty much split on this, which kind of mirrors the Janine and CJ stance on Jackson, which I'll talk about in a few moments. But Floyd thinks that they don't need QA. Just read his book, take the tips, and go on. But Curtis has a solid counter argument about Q having resources, know-how, experience, and money. These are the things that could actually help us take things to the next level. So believe it or not, for once, I have to admit, Curtis wasn't overly Curtis in this episode. I mean, think of all the other previous times. Floyd was the QA. Hey, I got us a spot on a television interview. Hey, I got this huge, social media influencer to come over here and talk about our food on his platform. Hey, I got a meeting with this one person who can talk about setting up a restaurant for us. Floyd was always that guy. But Curtis would always blow things up, act selfish, try to do things his way, and ruin opportunities that low-key stopped both of them from becoming millionaires already. So now this other guy comes in here, and I think what makes Curtis so calm is the fact that QA is the one, well, excuse the term, is putting sauce on Curtis's ego, and then Floyd is being pushed out of the picture without Curtis really thinking about it because he's already so self-absorbed. So as a result, I think this storyline is going to, go on for a few more episodes because Curtis says, how about this? Let's keep QA around for a little while. And if we don't like it, then eventually we'll tell him to kick rocks. That's pretty much it. I think at some point he's going to come up with some paperwork and take that business if Curtis doesn't listen to Floyd. That's what I think. And that's pretty much the storyline for the bosses and sauce bosses. But then we get to the other storyline. So Jasmine comes downstairs with a foul mood, and CJ just goes off about all the grown kids in his house. And I mean, I get it. That line was definitely CJ. This is something CJ would say. But everything else pertaining to the episode, I'm just kind of like, what the are you talking about, dude? So I'm like, Malik and Lisa and their baby, yeah, get them out of there. But Jasmine, I mean, she doesn't live there. She lives on campus and she occasionally comes home. I mean, later in the episode, we find out like this is her day off. So, I mean, CJ, come on, get a grip. So she's upset about Jackson because apparently he's changed majors and he's in the same department as her, which I believe would be like the broadcast journalism. So it turns out he's in the same field reporting class and the professor wants them to kind of work things out, basically adjust to being in proximity to someone you don't like. CJ says this is good while Janine is like, heck no. And it turns out Jackson, because Janine asked exactly what I was thinking, like, wait, wasn't Jackson expelled? No, he's on probation. And I'm like, okay. But then we get a further explanation from the professor. Professor Davidson actually comes over to the house because Jasmine sent a strongly worded email to her in regards to not working with Jackson. So she's like, yeah, this is the kind of thing where I wanted to talk about it in person rather than, through email. But CJ and Janine actually come downstairs too. It turns out that Jackson wasn't expelled because the university only puts people on like academic probation for cheating because they have a policy about helping students learn and grow from their mistakes. That is bullshit. I mean, it's 2025, so obviously college is different than when I was in college back from, on campus, 2010 to 2014, and then an extra year for grad school because my second master's, I had a lot of credits transfer over and stuff. And I know from experience in one, I was on master's number 2 and I was taking one of my courses and I was accused of plagiarizing myself, which is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Hey, the paper you wrote for your Apologetics 500 class is very similar to the paper you wrote for Pastoral Counseling 650. They were similar subjects. I used 3 of the same sources, but I did not do it verbatim word for word because I can't imagine. Let me put it this way. It was incredibly easy to cheat in college if you wanted to back then, because I know so many people on the campus dorms taking online classes would use different websites which already had the test answers. Yeah, that was a thing. But now with like Chat GP, I don't even know what you call it. I'm not a talk to texter. I'm not, because it usually messes things up and I'm a fast typer. But I just can't fathom how easy it would be to just coax your way through school nowadays via cheating online, because it's just, you have the answers in the palm of your hand. It's insane. But this is what makes me upset about this entire storyline, because it makes absolutely no sense. Him not getting expelled is one thing. But yet again, I feel like they are completely forgetting about Jackson trying to get Jasmine to lie. And plus, yeah, remember, Malik recorded Jackson admitting to everything. That he cheated, that he wanted Jasmine to lie for him, that he went online and lied about her to make her a trending topic, and basically, okay, well, I'm ruining your life because you wouldn't help save mine. And that got posted and went viral too. And yet Jackson, look, if him not getting expelled for cheating, okay, fine. Probation is one thing. But then for him to lie and basically cause this smear campaign jeopardizing Jasmine's reputation and the potential internship, that should have been grounds for expulsion. Like, what kind of student council does this university have? And I get the professor is a neutral party because essentially what happened between Jackson and Jasmine was in another class, another professor and whatnot that wasn't on her. But this is some bullshit. I'm sorry. This is some bull crap. And I did like the fact she told Jasmine, I won't make you do anything you don't want to do, so just sleep on it. And it's like, what do you mean sleep on it? Like, give him a chance to see if he'll apologize and whatnot and try to make things right. Because I just don't like the idea of cancel culture or judging someone by one mistake. Because I met with Jackson and his parents, but again, the video footage tells it all. This is, if you watch Beyond the Gates, it's almost like the professor, but and even CJ, it's like they're gaslighting Jasmine to letting this dude, who on multiple occasions tried to ruin her life, just, hey, make peace with him. On Beyond the Gates, it's like where Kat found out about Eva being her half-sister, but she was suspect of her motives the entire time, and she played a role in exposing her father's affair, thereby hurting and embarrassing her mom, Nicole, on their anniversary night at an anniversary party surrounded by friends and family. And now all of a sudden everybody's acting like, Kat, that's your half-sister. I don't give a crap. I caught her red-handed multiple times trying to sabotage your family, and now everybody's talking about, hey, let it go, kumbaya, F that. And I feel the same way about this storyline. No, you cannot ignore the fact that this dude took pleasure in ruining Jasmine's life because she wouldn't lie for him in front of student conduct court. When he was ready to push her over the flames so he wouldn't get caught for cheating and he wouldn't get kicked off the academics. Now, screw that. If I were Jasmine, I'm like, this is the one time, Jasmine, I'm not saying change your major, but change professors if it is available, because I get it. In the real working world, there will be times where you will have to deal with people you don't like because you have a job, you need to make a paycheck. So you're more likely going to have to deal with a boss that you don't like, a coworker, supervisor, whatever the case may be. But for a person who actively tried to F you over and ruin your reputation, your academic career, that is inexcusable. So while the school might put him on probation and not expel him, I'm expelling this person from my life and I don't want to have anything to do with him. So then CJ says probably one of the dumbest things ever, and I get it, there is possibly some truth to it. Janine is Team Jasmine, and I'm completely 100% on Janine's side. Like, let that boy just, he trouble? No. And then CJ's like, hey, Janine, no. Let her make her own decision. She grown. What the hell, CJ? And basically said, I think the reason you're conflicted is because you got feelings for that boy. When he first came over for that study session, yeah. But then after everything he did, hell no. And CJ, here's my thing. This is the guy that's responsible for almost ruining your daughter's college career. And had he had won with his schemes, there might have been a good chance Jasmine would have gotten expelled and then all this crap would have been on her record. Meaning that it would be very hard for her to either transfer to another school or even, get a good job with this stain on her reputation, because it's like, wait, why didn't you finish college? AKA all the money that you spent on your daughter's education almost got flushed down the drain because this jackass, and now you're vouching for him. F this episode. This is stupid. Yeah, I believe it or not, and look, I'm not even talking about the views and ad revenue. I would have rathered another episode of Laura acting like the victim than watching an episode where all these characters act completely out of character. This is stupid. All right, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. The title of the episode may have been called House of Tough Decisions, but trust and believe it was not a tough decision to decide on this being one of the worst episodes I've ever seen.